Hello, everyone. Benjamin Lindsay here, managing editor at Backstage. Gonna give everyone a couple seconds, a couple beats to join me here. As you probably know, if you're tuning in, we are being joined by Stephen Amell and Alexander Ludwig. Very excited to be picking their brains a bit about their new series coming to Stars on August 15th called Heels. They are playing brothers in competition with one another, kind of rivalry brothers trying to make a living, scrap a living together in wrestling while in small town Georgia. Really exciting character study, and obviously coming off the heels, rather, of no pun intended there, coming off the heels of projects like Arrow, projects like Vikings. This is such a huge opportunity for the two of them to be working together, and we are hosting our first ever Instagram live room, sitting with the two of them. So let me see if they are in our audience, and I can pull them up to join, and it should be a good one. So sit tight. Hello there. How's it going?
Not bad, man. How you doing?
Good. I'm well. My name is Ben Lindsay, managing editor here at Backstage. Thanks for sharing your time with us today. I'm excited.
Absolutely.
Now, it looks like we're just waiting on Alexander to jump in as well.
Yeah, I mean, I see him on my computer screen. The problem is he's a technical Luddite, so.
Okay, that explains it.
He makes up for it in other areas, though.
Not at all a problem. Oh, I see him right here. Perfect. Alexander, I'm going to send you an invite to jump up, and we can get going. All right.
What's up?
We did it. How's it going, guys?
Good, man. How you doing?
Good. Congratulations on this new series. And I know that you're kind of making the rounds today talking about it all. I guess the best place to start, for those tuning in who may not be familiar with the mechanics of wrestling, tell us about the series' namesake, the heels, the face of wrestling, and how does that play a role in this series?
Well, in wrestling, the good guys are the baby faces and the bad guys are the heels. So the two central characters of Heels, Ace and Jack, it's about who they are in the ring and who they are outside of the ring. And the heels, the bad guys, play a major part in that. Does that make sense, Alexander?
100%. I echo everything Steven just said. He for once actually said things right.
Hey, that's neat. And really quick, I just need to give a quick shout out to Kat McNamara, who's on this live, who I love very much.
Oh, hello, Kat. Mm-hmm. Well, it doesn't surprise me that, Stephen, you got those facts right, because it's my understanding that you are a longtime, well-documented wrestling fan. Was this kind of the perfect project for you? Not much of an education needed to get going in the ring?
Well, I think that no. It's one thing to like wrestling. I mean, I like watching golf on TV too, but I wouldn't trust me to birdie the 18th hole at a major championship under any circumstances, or maybe shoot like less than a 10. But this was the perfect project for me. Is the perfect project for me. So I hope that people like it. But when it actually came to finding it and exploring it, I had to do as much prep as I possibly could, because getting in the ring is a totally different thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And Alexander, how did you come into the fold for this? Because I know that you just wrapped your time on Vikings. So was this kind of in conversation as you were wrapping up your time there, or what was the timeline like for you?
No, it was I had finished Vikings and had a period of time off. Went to Nashville to work on some music, and then I ended up shooting Bad Boys in Atlanta when I was there. Kind of shortly after that, I had been sent these scripts, and I started reading them and just fell in love with the story and the characters. I mean, it's such a colorful world and such an incredible story. I think I speak for both of us when I was like, we were definitely reluctant to hop onto another TV series. But I think at the end of the day, like, it's about telling great stories. And I think Steven and I both just really connected with this world. And of course, Steven had a lot of experience in it. I was more new to it, and I've just grown to love it so much. It's incredible what these guys do. It's just this unbelievable stunt performance. and just this show really puts you in the ring like you've never been before. Yeah, it's just I'm so grateful, and I can't wait for everybody to see this show. I think we're so damn proud of it. It's we really made the show out to.
Yeah. I mean, I love what I've seen of it so far. Can't wait for the rest of our audience today to get their eyes on it. Stephen, can you speak a bit to that noted reluctance to rejoin a television series? Obviously, both of you have been years long on the small screen. Were you looking for something that was maybe less of a commitment?
Yeah, Alexander, I don't know that anyone's gonna jive with this whole we had to go back to work thing. No. I hadn't thought about it. Stars, the team there, Jeff Hirsch and the whole team there, they sought me out. I hadn't really thought much about what the next steps were for me after Arrow, and right around the time that the whole "what the hell am I going to do next" sensation started creeping in the back of my head was when my manager reached out and said, "This is going to get serious in a minute, and these scripts demand your attention. Give them a read." Mm-hmm. So by the time I was halfway through the first one, I knew that if the conditions were right and the fit was right with the person that they could cast as Ace and the showrunner, and I also had the good fortune of knowing a few people who've worked with stars previously, and they had wonderful things to say, like Sam from Outlander. I got in touch with him randomly. "Hi man, Steven, we've never met. What's it like to work at Stars?" So and it all seemed to fit.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously something like Arrow, something like Vikings, these are pretty physically demanding roles. You're no strangers yourselves to having the physicality of a role be just as important as kind of the emotional work and the grounded work that you do as a performer. What were the physical challenges to heels in particular? Did it require a set of training and kind of building up a skill set that you didn't have before? Either of you can jump in with that one.
Go ahead, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's unlike anything I've ever done in my life. I think that for both of us, just, different shows present different challenges. And, from my experience on Vikings, the main challenge was the elements, whereas this was like preparing your body to be in the most pain it's been. I'm talking like, 5 minutes in the ring and I'm gassed. 40 minutes. It's incredible. And our job was to make it, Ace and Jack are supposed to be these incredible wrestlers that actually have a chance of doing something really. And so our job was to make it look as real as we possibly could for fun. You know what I mean? Not actually for 40 minutes. So you just had to train your body in a way that I think that I've never experienced before. And the thing is, the only thing fake, people, when you talk about wrestling, you always hear like, oh, like it's fake. The only thing fake about wrestling is the storylines, because those are predetermined. But when you're in that ring and you're hitting those floorboards, those are wooden boards, and as you get closer to the side of the ring, when you hit there, like when you take a bump there, it rings your bell, and ropes are cables. It was incredible. And one thing that I would also say that I'd never really experienced before was the kind of trust you have to have in another actor, when you're wrestling, because, if Steven's suplexing me or vice versa, we have to trust that we're not going to drop each other on our heads. We wanted to do right by the wrestling community. So we put in as much work as we possibly could. We were training for months before this show. So it was definitely the most training I've ever done for anything.
Stephen, does that echo your experience?
Yeah, it does. And I'm not trying to poke fun here, but the one sequence that I think that you're talking about in the wrestling ring against Trey, maybe, where I actually am a special guest referee in that match. Yeah. You guys were going for maybe a minute 10 tops. Yeah. And both of you at the end,
oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
mean, it definitely sounds pretty physically daunting. I'm glad that I'm just the one enjoying it from my couch, but you guys go out there and do the thing. Tell me a bit about, well, our audience today, Backstage, is really the working actors, the working creators of the world. In addition to the physicality of the roles, tell me about how you kind of found your way into the minds of these characters. Obviously, the relationship is super complex. You talk about having trust in your fellow actor, Alexander. I imagine that that also goes hand in hand with kind of the more emotional work. So tell us a bit about your process when it comes to tackling a new script, tackling a new character.
Well, for me, it's really working with the other actors. And in that first episode, the characters that I interact with most, Stacy, so Allison Luff, Wild Bill, Chris Bauer, and so much with Ace Alexander. Allison's character really runs our household. So in a way, she's in control of the scene. And Wild Bill's called Wild Bill. So all I have to do is kind of play off of Chris. And in that first episode, Ace is so gung-ho and exasperated and just frustrated that I just had to, sit back and try to calm him down. So I do all my prep and all my work, and then I'm always waiting to see what the other person brings to the scene.
Mm-hmm. And Alexander, what about you? How'd you find your way in?
For me, I mean, what drew me into the project originally was just how deep the story was. And I find that even if you don't know anything about wrestling, I mean, it's same thing for Vikings, or same thing for a superhero show. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter as long as you can find yourself in some of these characters and you can connect with it. And that's why I couldn't put the script down when they had offered me the part originally. And I remember just going, this is it's an actor's dream to get to play these characters. And from my experience with Ace, he's so explosive, and he's a rock star in the ring, but out of the ring, he's just a freaking child that's just been tormented by his father's death and is just a total mess. So getting to really dive deep and look into those dark places in my life to draw from was a really kind of therapeutic experience. And also just, it's just one of those roles that I think forever it will be one of my favorite roles I ever got to play.
Yeah.
Years, I hope everybody watches the show and loves it. We've already seen, a couple episodes of the show, and we're so excited for everybody to see this, because I don't think that there's anything like this on television right now. And this world is so amazing that I'm so grateful to be a small part of bringing light to the tremendous sacrifices that these guys give just to make a life for themselves and their families.
Yeah, absolutely. You can only hope to find something that's as emotionally gratifying as it is creatively fulfilling when you're doing something like this and putting your time behind it. I am curious, just to speak to your careers for a moment. I found it interesting that both of you started performing from a rather young age in Canada. What was it that first drew each of you to the performing arts?
For me, it was just high school. It was a chance to go from just outside of Toronto up to Ottawa and hopefully meet girls.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I was 10th grade. And then I middled around with it in Canada for 7-8 years, and I had some good moments, and I had some moments that were regrettable. I think, as you do at any young point in your career. But then just moving to Los Angeles, it sounds really simple, but they always say, find something that you love and make that your job, make that your career. I love being on set. I love a really hard, physically, mentally, and emotionally demanding day, and the night's sleep that I get on the B side of it. I just love that.
Do what you love for a living. That's great. Yeah. And Alexander, what about you?
No, I echo everything Steven said. It's just, to be a working actor, you've already won. And then to be on something you're proud of is truly, truly special. And I think that every once in a while, it's so important to just step back and realize just how grateful we are to just be able to do what we do. And for me, getting into the business, I was 9 years old. My mom used to be an actress. She is like, I wouldn't be here without her. I mean, in so many ways, she's been my biggest fan, and I'm hers. And I think when I was 9, I took her phone and I called her old agent and asked for a meeting. And I started in commercials and then guest spots and just like, you know, way up. And, you know, for those who are watching who are interested in getting involved in this business, like, it's a war of attrition. You know, like, obviously you need to work on your craft. You need to master that. And I think, and I wish every actor got a chance to be on a TV series. That kind of experience is incredible, being in front of a camera all day. But really, to get to do what you love for a living, all it is being able to hang on long enough. And you have to love it, because any sane person would get. I mean, the world is crazy. You know, you get thousands of no's before you get one yes, but that one yes can change your life. And slowly but surely, it's just this building block. And Steven and I were just talking over Instagram the other day, like, Heels went up this huge billboard over Saddle Ranch. You know, years ago, I would have been on the floor of that bar or above it. You know, Steven sneaked into Saddle Ranch before he's, you know, 21. You know, like, it's it's just crazy. Like, this shit works, and it's not because we're anything special. You know, we're just the ones who hung on long enough.
Yeah. I mean, my final question for you guys, especially when you're talking about pushing through those leaner years, pushing through the inevitable rejection that comes with kind of a creative career. How do you build up that thick skin? And it just kind of sounds like it boils down to the love and the passion of it. You got to keep going.
You have to keep going, and you just have to eventually get to a spot where you only worry about the things you can the things that you can control. Yeah. Because I've walked into an audition room and I've got down to the final 3 choices, or final 2 choices, or final 4 choices. And and I look at the 2 other guys or 3 other guys that are in there, and it's become very clear that we've passed the point of the interpretation of the character, and we are now down to the point of how they want the character to look and how they're going to look in the overall ensemble. Because I look at the guys and they look distinctly different from me. So what can I do there? Because at that point, it's like that game of Minesweeper where, you know, you're picking at the beginning and you don't really know where the mines are, and you can play the game perfectly and have the perfect strategy, but you might get at the end, you might get down to a 50-50 choice and you have no idea. So just focus on what you can control and try to keep the all the extraneous stuff to the background.
That's it too. Like, on to what Steven said too, is like, it's get rid of that fantasy. Because if you fantasize, like when you get an audition, you fantasize about this role and what it would do and how the movie's going to go. First off, that never happens. It's just not real because it's a fantasy. But the second of all, if you don't get the job, not only have you lost this job, but you've lost the whole dream of what was going to come with it. You know, and I think that the key for me has always been trusting that with persistence, it will happen. Just never how I expect it to or when I expect it to. But I will get to tell stories that I love. You know, and this is definitely one of them for both of us. You know, it's like this show is really special.
Yeah, absolutely. I think those are perfect words of wisdom to wrap up here. And you're certainly putting in the work on this series. Congratulations to both of you. And thanks for chatting with me today. This was such a pleasure.
Absolutely, man. Thank you.
All right.
All right. You stay well. Bye-bye.
You too.